Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Always a pleasure to welcome our friends from the Stark County District Library. We've got Julia Shaheen and Mariana De Giacomo, and we have hopefully enough time to cover everything that we're going to be talking about today because you have a lot going on.
We do.
Mariana, first of all, tell me, exciting that you've focused on a topic now as far as One Book and One Community and what we're going to all be reading about and people that you're bringing in. An important topic to our area.
Yes,
what are we
is.
going to be talking about?
So our Speaking of Books author series for 2019-2020 is kicking off in September with Elizabeth Vargas, and then we're going to carry on into October with our One Book, One Community. And our topics for both the Speaking of Books in September and One Book is addiction and recovery.
Is this the first time that you've taken both of these series and kind of put it all together into one major, really important topic?
I think so. Yes,
I think
it
so.
is.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense because they can really
It
build
does.
upon each other. All right, Elizabeth Vargas, my goodness. Okay, give us a little background about her and
Sure.
why this is so important to her.
Okay. So, as many people may know, Elizabeth Vargas is an Emmy Award-winning journalist and correspondent. She was on 2020 for many years and is now a host on A&E Investigates. And she has battled anxiety disorder from the time she was a child and also addiction to alcohol. So she wrote a book called Between Breaths, and it's a memoir of her life, and it chronicles her journey through the anxiety disorder and the alcoholism and then her journey to recovery.
What's always so amazing is that someone so high profile and so high functioning had this as a secret, something that they had been battling for
Right.
such a long time. And you think, my goodness, you certainly accomplished a lot
Yes.
for going through this kind of a struggle. Does she touch on that?
She does, and it's one of the things that she says it can be anybody. This disease, it doesn't discriminate, so it can touch anyone in your family, people that you know. And so many people struggle with it. Statistics show that about only 25% of addicts actually seek help. So it's one of the reasons why she talks about it a lot. Why David Sheff, our One Book author, talks about it a lot, just to bring that awareness and the understanding that it's something that can be treated, you can get help for it, and there's so much help out there. So they really want to bring that message.
It's so easy to say that and have that kind of get glossed over. I don't want to gloss over it. What percentage of people seek help?
25 of addicts.
1/4, meaning 3/4 of people going
Right.
through this are not seeking any kind of help.
And we have so many resources here in our county. So we are actually presenting both the Speaking of Books and One Book, One Community in partnership with Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery. And we're also with support from Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health, ComQuest, Coleman Professional Services, Phoenix Rising, and Kent State University at Stark.
Did you approach them or did they approach you and say, we should all be doing this together?
Yeah, so Starkmar, we've done things with them in the past, and
Yes.
this was something that they're so passionate about, and they have so many services. It's what they're all about. So when they found out we were doing this, they were on board, and it's really a great way for us to not only bring the speakers, but to connect people who may need help with all of the resources that we have in the county.
Is Elizabeth Vargas touring, talking, or is this something special that she's coming in for? Just for us?
I'm not sure if she's on tour or not, but she does do speaking engagements now. So,
Yes.
as you know, she was on 2020. She's doing A&E Investigates, but as an author, one of the things that she is doing now is going around and speaking about her book and her journey.
And her own story.
Yes.
Really, really good get. Congratulations. That's going to be
We're excited.
So good. Let's talk about One Book, One Community then. This goes along with everything with the Speaking of Books series. So, Julia, who are we bringing in?
So this year's One Book, One Community is a book called Beautiful Boy. It's written by David Sheff, and it's about his family's struggles with their son's addiction to drugs and what they went through all those years. And
Can you give us a little bit of the story? Not all the spoilers or anything, but it's a hard story, isn't it?
it's very hard. It's very some of the people on our committee that when we talked about it, they said this is a very hard story to read. This is
Yes.
very deep. It's very real. David Sheff is a writer, so he's writing it as a writer, but a really good storyteller as well. It's you're reading it and you feel like you're in his world. You know, you feel like you feel compassion for his family and empathy for his family, but you know, in the end, we know that his son is doing okay now, and that's one of the reasons that we chose that story. Not to spoil it for everybody, but his son does overcome it.
I think that's important because it's too hard to dive into a book like that knowing that it's not going to end well.
And
so see it through because it ends well.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons why we chose this book. We had a list of books that were similar topics to choose from. And as the committee split the duties of reading and we were talking about the different books, the thing that we kept coming back to on this one is that there's a hopeful ending. So not every story ends like this, but you know, hopefully the more that we talk about it and the more that we bring this to light, and the more we, you know, stop putting it under the rug and really seeking out the help people need and whatnot, then hopefully this won't be the only story that has a hopeful ending.
Be watching your mailbox for a mailer that's going to be coming through, and one of the things that does show is David Sheff and his son in there. So you're going to see a picture of the son doing well. What can we look for? What's on the cover? Let me see. Okay. Oh, well, there we go. Elizabeth Vargas right there on the cover. And you've got, it's Explore Stark Library. So be looking for that. And this is something that both David Sheff and his son go around and speak now, don't they?
Yep, they
because
go
his
together.
son also wrote a book.
Correct. His son has written a few books. He's a writer in California, but more for the entertainment industry. But they've written books together and they've written them separate. The book that we chose for one book is written by David Sheff, and there's a book that we wrote as the younger read for high school, and that's called High, and it was written by both of them. And it's definitely geared towards a younger audience, but it's a great adult read too. And I keep thinking of it as like a magazine style read. There's different chapters. You don't necessarily have to read it in order. It talks about, the whole thing about that book and what they say in it is don't say no, or just say no to drugs, but not N-O-K-N-O-W. So they want you to know why you're saying no.
So just say no, knowing why I'm saying
exactly
no.
why, yes.
Yeah.
So knowing exactly why, what these drugs and what alcohol can do to your body, to your mind, and how one kind of leads into the other, and, you know, talking about peer pressure and all the statistics that go with that, and all the different things that we think we know about drugs, but just from talking to friends or hearing it from other people or seeing something on TV, and this kind of makes it a little bit more real. So we really liked the way that this book was written. There's a lot of statistics, there's a lot of charts and graphics, and it's just really conversational the way that one was written. So we're excited to have that one as our younger read.
And it's his story.
It is.
And he realizes what a handful he was, yes? He realizes what he put his parents through, and how wonderful to have that reconciliation, that they can be telling the story together, that other people can learn from what they went through and not have to go through it themselves.
And it wasn't just one time. It was, this happened again. But we're really excited because it allows for other programming to come to light, and just coming right off of Elizabeth Vargas, we're really excited about all the other programs that come with it. And it was a movie. It came out last year. So
Beautiful Boy.
Yeah,
you are going to be showing it?
Yes, that's the plan. So we're planning to
Where's
show
that
it.
going to be, and when?
It'll be at Perry Sippo, and it will be on October 23rd at 6 o'clock. So
is there no fee for any of this, is there?
Nope, it's all free.
Amazing.
But you should register at starklibrary.org. Reserve your seats.
Like always, read the book first before you see the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I always read the book first. So.
Yes. Because then you go in kind of knowing what to expect. But should you? Because usually the book is better. So I almost like to see the movie first and then read the book. And then you kind of, move up into rather than move down.
Well, and this is somebody's story. So I think coming from David Sheff himself, and in the the written word, I think it comes across differently in the movie.
Yes.
But we're excited to be able to talk about both. So
absolutely. Something that child and adolescent behavioral health is going to be doing is how to have conversations. That's one of the programs. Yes. How do you have those conversations? What are we going to learn about that? Like for David and his son, how do you sit down and just start the conversation? It's got to be intentional, doesn't it? It's not something that'll just pop up.
Well, I think that the way that this program works, this is at least a statewide effort called Start Talking. And they're going to talk about ways that you have this conversation. And it's not a one-time conversation. It's an ongoing conversation. The studies show that if you constantly have that conversation with your kids and your teens, and it's not just something that you talk about one time or, just say no, guys, and walk away.
Check that one off. Covered that.
Yeah, covered that. I'm good to go now. If you have that conversation more frequently, and it's just part of your everyday, maybe not every day, but you're part of your conversations with your kiddos, then they're less likely to fall into that.
Starting at what age?
I'm not entirely sure what age they're going to start with, but I would say as early as you can.
Start young. So we talk about talking a lot with early literacy. We always say parents need to start talking to their kids from the time they're babies to build that up. And this is kind of the same thing. You need to talk to your middle schoolers, even elementary schoolers, and start having that conversation.
My thought is that children, you usually can have a pretty good conversation with them at their level about a lot of things. Yeah. I can remember saying to the boys when they were really little that the right amount of medicine makes us well when we're sick, but taking medicine when we're well will make us sick.
Right.
So and just kind of work that in at a level that they can get it.
Right.
And that was just so they wouldn't be taking more vitamins than they were supposed to because they were really good.
Well, and I think in terms of this program, this would be appropriate for parents of any any age child, whether they're 2 or 5 or 12 or 18. I think that any assistance I think parents can have is very helpful. So even if their child is really little, they might pick up something that along the way they can talk with their child on. So
why is this so important right now?
It's huge. A recent community survey found that 1 in 4 residents in Stark County have listed the addiction epidemic as one of the things that they're most concerned about. So a lot of people are struggling with this. People are concerned about this, and really understanding addiction and recovery is the first step. September is Recovery Month, so it's a great time to do this. But I think it's just important to raise awareness to help people know that there's help out there and where they can find it, and just to start that conversation, take away the stigma of it. Because like Julia said, not brushing it under the rug, but really bringing it to light and having those important conversations. That's
important, taking away the stigma. Isn't that something part of what Elizabeth Vargas's message is?
Yes, and David Sheff as well. They both have that similar. When you read the books, they're very similar in what they talk about and how they've committed themselves now that Nick is in recovery and Elizabeth is in recovery, that they want to get the word out there and that it's not something that you should not talk about, but
we really need to. Let's talk about the dates that these are all taking place again. So remind us so that people can get this down, because I think you've got our attention. Now we want to make sure that it's on the calendar. When's this all happening?
So Elizabeth Vargas is September 12th at the Canton Palace Theater. You can register at starklibrary.org, or you can give us a call and we can register you. And it is at 6:30. Doors open at 5:30. Her book will be for sale. She'll do a Q&A after the presentation, and she will also sign books.
Do you recommend people just showing up, or we really do need to register?
No, I think registering is good. Reserve your seats. I think we're going to have a lot of people at this event, so I would get on there and reserve your seats.
Reserve your seat. It's free.
It is free.
Yeah.
And David Sheff will be here October 30th at the Canton Palace Theater at 6:30, and register at starklibrary.org. And the seats are free, but we really recommend that you register early, get your name on the list.
Yeah.
You put your email in there, and then we'll send you reminders and important information as the event approaches.
He's October 30th, but the movie is October 23rd.
Correct.
So we will be seeing the movie first and then hearing him.
We will, yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going that direction.
It was the way we could schedule it.
Okay, that works. All right, looking at the clock, we do need to take a short little break, but we're visiting with Julia Shaheen and Mariana DiGiacomo from the Stark County District Library. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.